Ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what your definition of the American dream is. What is the American dream? Are you living the American dream? Very different for every single human being out there. Let me tell you why this topic came up. You know, what that really means to me. And I wrote down, is it getting a PhD in some sort of, Welcome back to Gallagher's Grip. This is your host, Daniel Gallagher, recording live in the Gallagher's Grip studio on the south side of lovely Chicagoland, where as I'm looking out my window, I see nothing but torrential downpour. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what your definition of the American dream is. What is the American dream? Are you living the American dream? What does it mean when somebody screams or yells or speaks or whispers, I am living the American dream? Does anybody know what that means? Because to me, I think the American dream is something very different for every single human being out there. What is your version of the American dream? I'd like to know what your version of the American dream is. Let me tell you why this topic came up. There's a lot of people that are involved in Gallagher's Grip. And as we were sitting around a desk the other day, I had a young lady say, you know what, you're living the American dream. And she said that to me. And I paused for a minute because I just don't know what that really means to me. I am involved in a lot of different companies. We do deals all over the world. We are involved in many, many different things, and it takes a lot of time and effort. And I believe to her that was her version of what the American dream is. But to me, it really isn't so much the American dream, because it's a lot of headaches. It's a lot of time. It's a massive amount of pressure, an enormous amount of stress. And I'm asking myself, Daniel, what is your version of the American dream? And I wrote down, some things here for myself, just as I was reflecting on the reality behind that comment. And, what is your version of the American dream? Is it higher education? Is it getting a PhD in some sort of a particular subject that you want to be great within? Is it financial? Is your version of the American dream only financial? Meaning you're living the American dream if you've got $1 million in your bank, $10 million in the bank, $100 million in the bank. Is that your version of the American dream? What about the American dream of making sure or being happy that your children are healthy? Is that a version of the American dream? I believe it should be. I believe it is. I believe that is absolutely something that is part of what I would consider the American dream. And I am, knock on wood, fortunate enough to have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they are healthy and they are happy. And to me, at the end of the day, when all the dust settles, when all the text messages stop and all the cell phones stop ringing, having my 2 children, healthy, 100% healthy, as far as we know, and happy is the most important thing to me in my life. And when you self-reflect on where you're at in life and what you're doing, and there's a million times where I look at myself and say, Daniel, you need to be doing more. You should be doing more. You're not successful enough. You're not at the point where you want to be in your life. And I say this to myself all the time. And quite frankly, it drives me crazy, because I've realized that I'm never going to stop, and I'm never going to be happy with myself, because entrepreneurship, life, the American dream, it's day in, day out, hustle, bustle. It never stops, right? But I think above all, I think the version of my American dream would be to make sure that my children are happy and healthy, and make sure that I actually get along with my family. Make sure I actually get along with my immediate family, my extended family. Make sure that it's not always a war when you're around them, or if you work with them, or you're talk to them all the time, or you're in business deals with them all the time. Again, I said this in my other podcast, life is short. Life is short. You've got a very small amount of time on this earth. We all know that. And it's short. You got to make a decision on how you want to live your life. And at Gallagher's Grip, I try to do a ton of podcasts about the reality of life. And, do I think I'm living the American dream? Well, I mean, I'm involved in a lot of different companies. I've said this on previous podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, I have failed at a ton of things in my life, And, these are very talented people sitting around, the table yesterday, and many of these people have succeeded, and they're very talented people. They've got much to offer. And, I think that in today's day and age, the American dream is about, if you are happy and you are healthy and you feel like you have a very good, ratio from work to home life, I think that is living the American dream. Ever since COVID happened, obviously things shifted to being more homeward bound than anything. And we're getting out of that mentality, that mindset. People are now going back to work and getting in offices and working, in offices. But what COVID did to all of us is it proved to us that we can work from home and be productive, and that we don't have to be in an office next to people all the time, every second of every day. Because let's be frank with each other, there's a lot of people at offices that you may or may not like. So where would you rather be? Well, I can tell you this. I'd rather be at home. I'd rather be with my children than go to some office and be around 16 people that I know couldn't care less about me. And it doesn't make for a happy place, to work. Because, again, life is short. Where do you want to spend your time? Although, some companies you have to be in the office. That's an obvious, but I want to know from everybody who listens to me, everybody who follows me, what is your version of the American dream? What does that actually mean to you, in today's day and age? On June 4th, 2025, what is the version of the American dream? How has it changed? What was it before and what is it now? I've got a lot of people that do business with me, and many of them don't even leave their house. They are operating their lives from a computer or an iPad, or many of them are doing business from their iPhone, and they don't even leave their house. They don't even talk to anybody. They simply are traders, or they're selling properties or buying properties or what have you. They are operating their whole lives from an iPhone. To me, that's amazing, right? To me, is that your version of the American dream? It's just, so many things have changed. And as you get older in life, I turned 45 years old June 2nd, okay? And your priorities shift. Your priorities change. When you're younger, you think that you could take on the world and take on everything. You've got so much fight and drive. And, what really sets somebody apart, in my opinion, are the people that fail and fail and fail and fail and fail and get just annihilated with a hammer and just beaten down to the point where they don't have the courage to get back in the game, to get back in the race. And guess what? They do it. They make the decision to get back in the game, to stand up, to actually open up the door and walk out the house again and say, you know what? I've been beaten. I've been put on the ground, but I'm not going to quit. And as you guys know, when you follow me, that is what this podcast is 100% about. With all of my guests, many of them have incredible stories about what they have had to fight through and stay fighting for sometimes months, sometimes years, to stay fighting to actually get to where they are or get over a hump that they found themselves in. That is America. Maybe that is the American dream, huh? Maybe it's the person who actually fights like hell to make sure that no matter what comes their way, they are going to continue forward, and they are going to fight, and they are going to push forward, and they are going to do whatever it is they have to do to win, or to at least stay afloat. Or my favorite, keep the water between their mouth and their nose so they don't wither away. What is the American dream, ladies and gentlemen? What is the American dream in today's day and age? I remember when I was growing up, when somebody was making $100,000 salary, that was the biggest thing in the world. Holy cow, that's CEO salary. My God, that person's doing fantastic. Well, $100,000 in today's day and age is viewed as nothing. It's not me. It's not me talking. It's viewed as nothing. It's $1 million in today's day and age is really viewed as minuscule, comparatively speaking. Now that's shocking to me. It really is shocking to me because $1 million. I mean, how many of you out there have made $1 million for you? I'm not talking about company gross revenue. I'm talking about net profit after all taxes, etc., are put in your bank. www.bank.com, and you can see your name, your social with $1 million, or your company, however you have it structured, with a net of $1 million. Very few people. But in today's day and age, $1 million is really minuscule, comparatively speaking. Now that is interesting. That to me is shocking, right? What's it going to be like 20 years from now? Because I can tell you this, folks, the greatest population in America, 90+%, most of these people are living paycheck to paycheck. Most of these people are just barely getting by. Thank you, God, for Donald Trump, who's implementing new policies and procedures that are slowly turning that to the positive direction. I think what the guy's doing is amazing. But the American dream is different for everybody. And to me, the American dream, as I said, is watching my kids grow up and be happy and be healthy. Being involved in their sports, being involved in their childhood, being there as a dad whenever they need me to be there. I don't think my American dream is having $700 million in a bank account, because at the end of the day, you got to pay your bills. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do as a man, as a woman, as an American citizen, as a person, whether you live here in the United States or anywhere. Okay? But what is that thing that's most important to you? What is that thing that makes you get up every single day and fight? For me, obviously, it's my children, but there's many other things when it comes to the reasons why I get up and fight. There are the people that think I can't do it. There are all the people, the naysayers out there, the people that turn against you and say, he's not going to do it. He's not going to make it. What is he doing now? What the hell is he into now? I mean, those are the people that are the logs for my fire. Those people that do nothing but complain. Those people that do nothing but put you down, and they turn against you, and they're the ones that talk about you at these parties, all about you, when all you're simply trying to do is get ahead. When all you're simply trying to do is work your ass off to make sure that you could have a little extra money in your bank account to take care of your children. But no, the second you start succeeding, you are viewed as a devil. You are viewed as a demon in the eyes of the people who are not at your level. It's a fact. What's your version of the American dream? What is it? What is the American dream in 2025 for the folks that are living and breathing here in the United States of America? Is the American dream being able to pay your bills and have a little money left over at the end of the month to the point where you're not having palpitations so you can actually breathe? Maybe that is somebody's American dream. What is the ultimate American dream? I don't want to hear people say, well, let's go win the lottery for $400 million. I mean, is money really just and only the American dream? I'm living the American dream. I'm doing it. What does that mean? What does that mean? You're living the American dream and you're doing it. I don't know. Again, it's different for everybody. To me, overall health and success, but maybe not what you're thinking. Just to be able to say that you have done it, that you can do it, that you can look back 5 years from now and say, I did it. When I was in Nashville, I remember I was at a restaurant called P.F. Chang's. I was sitting there with my producer, and he said something to me that I will never forget as long as I live. We were talking about many different country musicians, okay? And I looked at my producer, Clyde Brooks, and I said, Clyde, we were talking about a couple different people, as I said, And he said, Daniel, you know what these guys are? These guys are have-done-its. And I looked at him, and he goes, Daniel, these guys have already won every nomination, every award, or these girls, these people in the country music industry that we're talking about. And we were talking about people who are really no longer in the limelight, the real legends, but you don't hear about them every second. You don't see them every second, but the real legends, and these people are have-done-its. They already did it. And I think that's a big part of the American dream, at least for me personally and professionally, is to look back and say, I did that. I've done it. I've done it. Look, folks, I'm involved in construction companies. I am involved in auto dealerships. I'm involved in online e-commerce stores. I'm involved in all kinds of stuff. And it is a full-time, full-blown, day in, day out, nonstop level of lunacy that you have to experience and go through and run on a day-to-day basis to keep the ship afloat. Yes, I have people that help me, but it's very difficult to keep all the ships going in the same direction. It is not easy. There's many other companies that I'm involved in as well. Again, we do deals all around the world. And, we're actually launching a program that's going to allow entrepreneurs such as yourself to submit to Gallagher's Grip to see if there's a way that perhaps we could maybe work together, because I like helping people. I like being the guy that actually can listen to somebody and maybe help them achieve their goals or their dreams. And I'm not talking about some big equity capital finance. Hey, I'll help you. I want 90% of your company. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that have a dream, that have a vision, that have a hope, that want to win, and that will do whatever they have to do to get to that finish line. Those are the people that you will be seeing me help. Those are the people that are going to be involved with me in this new venture that I'm launching. Those are the people that I want to back. The person that doesn't have anything, and every single day they live, eat, and breathe what they want, their dreams. Maybe it's their American dream. It would be nice to help people achieve their version of their American dream, as we've been discussing. I think it's been changed and altered, added to, subtracted from so many different versions as you go through life. The reason why this was important for me to talk about is because I look at all these people around a table and I said, what is their version of their American dream? One young lady said that what she does for fun is nothing but hang around with family. Another person that was around the table said they like to go to nightclubs and party. They're a younger person. They're still in that world. God bless them. I would like to know what your version of your American dream is. I'd like for you to email that to me, if you will, at gallaghersgrip@gmail.com, because I want to see if there's any way that I could put you on my show to get your version of your American dream out there. Maybe there's a way that you can live your version of your American dream.